Ricky,
What?
the way to drink fucking Jamaican rum is with water and ice, bud.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. The fucking flavor comes right out. Water and ice and Jamaican rum, brother. That's so good. And you enjoy it. You're not gonna fucking I won't just fall over sideways and go as my face is dragging down the fucking pavement as I fall in slow motion. You know?
What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, and I wanted to do something kind of special here, man. I've compiled some documents from my past and from my present, and it all revolves around the Universal Monster films. Now, I want to give you a bit of a quick little rundown on my personal history with those films. Basically, my dad exposed me to all of those when I was a very, very young kid. They're some of the first movies I can think of, out of, like, other than Clown House and Leprechaun. The Universal Monster films, those were the horror films that I knew. And then it was like basically boom, right after that, my aunt's showing us Halloween and fucking, my dad showing me Texas Chainsaw Massacre on a taped tape that and I was like convinced it was real because when I was a kid, I thought like if it looked a certain way, it had to be real, because it just was too, that shot, obviously where, the camera goes underneath the bench and all that stuff. It just felt like how else would they do that unless it's taken right out of somebody's fucking mind, child thinking logic here, of course. But the movies that I want to talk about today are Frankenstein, Dracula, The Wolfman, and The Mummy. And these are the 4 Universal horror films that my dad owned for the majority of my childhood up until he had Bride of Frankenstein, but that was on a tape thing. These were the actual Universal releases of the tapes. The ones that I think of when I think of the Universal Monster collection. I know there's 30 tapes or some shit, but those are the movies he had. And it was later on that he taped. I've notoriously talked about the time that we had recorded fucking. What was it, The Blob and Creature from the Black Lagoon while my dad made chicken soup. And now those things, ever since I was a kid, I'm talking, I had to have been probably 7 or 8, maybe 9 when that happened. 9 tops. But I just loved old films, The Blob, like I just mentioned. I fucking love that movie. And there's just you get a certain flavor from older films. And when we're going to talk about these movies, not in depth, this isn't so much of a review as it is me giving you my personal past with this shit. So I'd watched all these movies dozens of times, and they're the monsters of the day. We don't have a monster lineup in this era. Really, we don't. Obviously the 1930s and 40s and all that, we had all the monsters I listed off and more. And then in the 80s, even in the 50s, you had Godzilla, you had fucking all these other giant monster films. I'm blanking on names right now. Attack the what is it? The 50-Foot Woman. It Came from Outer Space. I'm just trying to think of some other ones. Kingdom of the Spiders with Shatner, which is a shithole film, but I love it. There's a lot of movies like that. I'm kind of a snob when it comes to my giant monster films. I love Godzilla from 1954, before the Raymond Burr cut. We're talking about the original Japanese cut. I love that thing. But I feel the Godzilla films, they're kind of hit and miss with me. They really are. I don't like my Godzilla Goofy. I like the 90s era Godzilla. I think I prefer the most, other than the original one, just because it's so much more of a scary, haunting looking Godzilla. It's not so goofy. The 70s stuff is very goofy, I think anyone would admit that. But moving into the late 80s, early 90s and stuff, and even into the early 2000s, Godzilla looked like a bad fucking motherfucker. And that's neither here nor there, though. I'm getting distracted from the topic at hand. Today we're going to take a look at some drawings I did from when I was a kid, and they're of the monsters I mentioned. And I also found a little zine that I made when I was a kid based on some Universal Monsters material. So we're going to take a look at all that stuff. We're going to take a look at some drawings that I did recently that are depictions of the Universal Monsters. So I appreciate everybody for watching. Leave a 666 in the comments, and let's move on to the drawing table and get a token to us, and maybe a sip of water because I'm already fucking parched.
I think it will thrill you, it may shock you, It might even horrify you.
So before we get into the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about here, I want to show you something cool. When I was a kid, I rented these 2 books out, or I got them somehow. I don't know where the fuck I got them from, but they're books by a guy named Larry Mike Garman, and one's based on The Bride of Frankenstein, one's based on Dracula, and I'm pretty sure it's about like these group of kids that, you know, are trying to solve the thing. It's been a long time since I read this stuff, but these were the type of things that you could get based on, you know, stuff that you loved. You go to the library, find books like these, or find like those big eyewitness books and different shit like that. So I actually used this one right here as the basis of a book report and made this little like zine basically. So on the cover we've got Vow of Vengeance by Larry Mike Garman, The Bride of Frankenstein. Of course we got the monsters line up there. We got Dracula, the Wolfman, the Monster, the Mummy, even wearing the fez, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then we got the Bride obviously up there. But this is kind of funny to look at. Like, Dr. Frankenstein is almost like Filthy Ralph. He's kind of like the basis of Filthy Ralph, if you know that character that I created. We've got Dr. Pretorius rocking like bitching haircut. Look at all like the corrections that the teacher made. Holy fuck. Oh man, it's funny. I actually did a few of these. I've only got 2 of them left from when I was a kid, but these little like quasi zines, they're rad to still have. So even these books right here, like I plan on like having a kid with Kayla, and I want to be able to give her or him these fucking these books that I read. But speaking of Bride of Frankenstein, I gotta show this just to show it. We got the Bride of Frankenstein classic collection, of course. This is the collection that I grew up with, not with this tape, but I'm glad to have this. So let's do this in order of how we got them here. So first we've got The Wolfman from 1941, of course, a classic. I wish I knew who did. Is it 1941? I believe so. Okay. I wish I knew who did the paintings, because these are phenomenal. Like, look at the Bride of Frankenstein. Like, that is insane. Very well done stuff. But yeah, the Wolfman has to go with this epic, badass drawing. Oh, I don't want to spoil the rest of them. We've got this right here. Check it out, man. A fucking Ricky Paradis Videohomicide drawing from way back when of the Wolfman. Badass. My dad always used to say, like, you should write the dates, put the date, and I never fucking listened to him. And now look, I wish I did, because this has got to be from early 2000s. Yeah, I'm stoked that I still got this. So clearly, I remember exactly where we were. He was living on Dundas Street at the time, and I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and he had like this really fucking awesome light above it, and just drew these. And you can tell, like, look, I like was drawing the hands and shit. Like, it's funny. It's not like dog shit, because like I gotta tell you, like, I was drawing a lot when I was a little kid, like really young. So like I say, this is probably gotta be like very late 90s, early 2000s, I would say. Moving on. Oh yeah, here's a fucking great film from 1932. A lot of people say it's a bit of a sleeper, but I really like this movie, and it is none other than The Mummy, starring Boris Karloff as look at that fucking cool thing in the background right there. That's badass, man. Everything about this is fucking awesome, but this is a great film. Boris Karloff stars as Imhotep. You know, I'll be the first to admit that. Oh, I forgot to mention that Wolfman is directed by George Wagner. Okay, and The Mummy is directed by Karl Freund, who I believe is probably a German, because that sounds like a German last name. But this is a really fun one. It is different. You know, it's not like the fucking Rick O'Connell, Brendan Fraser Mummy, or even the Hammer Mummy. But it's still really good. It's still very scary, and I've loved it since I was a little kid. I love anything to do with Egypt. Like the opening of this film, where it shows like the pyramid, it says the mummy. Like, all that stuff is just so ingrained in my fucking memory. There it is, the mummy. So let's get into the drawing of the mummy. This epic fucking drawing of the mummy. Look at that. Look at my shading. I was a baller. I was like, I'm gonna shade this fucking thing. Even on the hat and everything. Like, this is like, I'm so glad I have this early stuff so I can compare this. That's almost like a Filthy Ralph fucking nose. Big schnoz on him. He doesn't have that big of a schnoz here, but Yeah. How badass. The Mummy, man. Gotta save the fucking best for last. The best two for last, I should say. We're gonna go with 1931's Dracula, directed by Todd Browning. One of my favorite horror films. One of my favorite films in general. I think it's fantastic. Bela Lugosi, of course. We've got fucking Dwight Frye. We've got Edward Van Sloan in this film. Basically, everyone you want from a Universal horror film. Like, even like, look at the background of this painting. It's so good, and it's probably just in. It could be in some guy's collection. You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows what happened to all these? Same with like all of the fucking, just all of those original paintings and stuff you've seen and drawings from movies of the 80s. And like there's all these different releases from all these different countries. So there's, unlimited possibilities to hunt down this shit. But here's the drawing. And you can see I was even trying to do like the shine on his hair. Yeah. It's not bad. I was going really dark with the pencils in the eyes, but what I'd like to do is I'm going to scan these, and then I'm going to like put them in more of a protective thing than they were in, and then just give them back to my dad to hang on to, because I know he would get off on that. So Dracula, love the film. I'm looking forward to actually seeing that fucking Nicolas Cage thing, and like I'm not a Nicolas Cage, like I don't understand the fucking like thing about him. People love him, and that's fine, because I love creators and artists that people think are fucked too. So I'll leave it at that. But I am gonna see that shit. I'm looking forward to seeing John Wick as well. And I'm trying to think of this thing. I think there's something else in theater right now. I forget what the fuck it. Oh, Cocaine Bear. I'd like to see that, but there's no way I'll make that in the theater. Now my favorite, well, technically my second favorite Universal horror film, we've got Frankenstein, directed by James Whale, who of course also did Bride of Frankenstein. He did Old Dark House, which is phenomenal. There's a review on, I believe, all those films I just mentioned on the channel, so you'd have to dig around, but man, this is a phenomenal film. Love the background imagery here. I actually was at Kirk Hammond's exhibit, I believe it's called It's Alive, when it was at the Toronto Museum, at the ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum it's called, and he had actual set-used props from Frankenstein on display. There's a photo of me somewhere with the stuff. It's fucking awesome, but yeah, I recommend checking out that It's Alive exhibit if you ever get to do it. There's a walkthrough of it on my channel, so if you look at that, it's fucking pretty cool stuff, man. Like his guitars, there was original Frank Frazetta's, original Basil Gogos, like we're talking some crazy stuff, crazy original one sheets, stuff that you can't see anywhere else, and it's all like legit. So that was badass. Here's the drawing. Frankenstein kind of looking like a Muppet, but there it is, man. Look at, I was really getting that thick fucking I don't even know what they were using for that. Some kind of probably like thick collodion, it's weird shit. Who knows what they were using for the makeup on Frankenstein, but Jack Pierce did an amazing job. One time I accidentally, on one of my videos, instead of Jack Pierce, I said something else. I think I said like Lon Chaney. I switched Lon Chaney with Jack Pierce at one point, and that was like one of the only times I ever got a lot of comments about people, or about me being a fucking idiot. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I grew up with this shit, man. I'm not gonna fucking and like I've been accused on some of my videos of like not reading the magazines, like the horror magazines. You're fucking goddamn right. I haven't read all of them. Are you insane? Like that's one of the things about being like a comic book collector or like movie collector or anything like that. Like you buy stuff that you do not fucking read or watch for a while. Unless like you have it's your hardcore and watch stuff you buy on a regular basis. But I still have stuff sealed in my collection. I think a lot of people do, but. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So those are the drawings of old. Now we're going to take a look at the drawings of new.
When you were a kid this fucking high and you wanted comics.
So this is the largest sketchbook I'm currently working out of. I do have one that's bigger than this. It's a watercolor sketchbook, but I haven't done anything in it yet. But this has been really good to me. I've basically only drawn, I missed the first page, which pisses me the fuck off, but I've only drawn like my character Filthy Ralph in different you know, outfits, basically. This is a fun page with the cowboy Ralph. I always liked that one. But Rotten Cunt magazine. I'll go through all these characters because I think the Universal stuff's at the very back. We've got Maintenance Ralph, Burger Flipper. We got Nom Ralph, Chef Ralph with his fucking spaghetti and meatball, wearing Crocs, totally accurate to like the fucking cook life. We got a piece of black fucking paper. Devil Ralph, Red Lace Ralph, Boxer Ralph. Those aren't like going to be confirmed as the tattoos that Ralph has, but definitely something along those lines. Here's like the Batman ones. I'm always like hit or miss if I like this Joker one. There's a photo that was taken of me by my girlfriend, and Cinema Sketchbook, who's like a fucking awesome artist on Instagram, he actually like recreated it in his art style. It's awesome. But this was the thing I was drawing, so that's sick for that. But like this, I don't know why, this Joker just always hit or miss. Like I don't mind it right now, but there's times I look at that and I go, what the fuck was I thinking? Grove Street Ralph, CJ, Big Smoke, Sweet, and Ryder. If you've never played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, you might not give a fuck, but there they are. Fuck. Here they are. We got Dracula Ralph, Franken Ralph, the Mummy Ralph, and the Wolfman Ralph. I think the Mummy one turned out pretty cool. Like if I was doing it now, I would definitely do like, this was from December 11th, 2022. So even now, I feel like I've improved since this, but yeah, man. Like I always like them hold, like one thing about this sketchbook you've obviously seen was in every one, they're all in the same position holding something. Blood wine, the flowers, the fucking Ankh, which I don't even know if he holds one of those in the movies. I don't remember. I think he might in the beginning, like when he's a mummy, but the cane. Is there anything else in this fucking thing? I feel like there should be. Nope, that's it. So we'll see what else happens in this Ralph sketchbook. I like the Frankenstein head and the Dracula head. Yeah. All lines too. I didn't do any stipling except for the beard. Just like these kind of cross hatches. As I grow as a fucking cartoonist, I'm trying to implement different, types of shading so you can see like this is all just single hatching on everything. I think it looks pretty good. That's a really good Ralph face right there. Really good. This one's better than this one. And the reason I say that is because like the position of the nose often changes. Like this was once a graffiti character that I did, but it was a different like setup, or a different like it was like a devil head. But like the nose, the shape of the nose, like I've done it so many times, but it's never the same. Like this one's not as good as I even think this one's kind of crap, but that one's good. I don't know. Kind of fucking derailed from my Universal Monsters topic. Oh, here's something cool. So anyone that's been a follower of mine, they know I do a comic called Filthy Ralph. This is the character. And I'm starting to work on issue 3 of that. I can't believe it. But this is the first test printing of Raise the Dead Volume 5. This is the 5th installment of the Raise the Dead zine that I've been putting out for the last, I think 2 years. And it's going to be in color. Although I think I will do a run of black and white stuff. This thing has to be tweaked a little bit, like where it says Volume 5, that has to be moved up and different things like that. But I think it's going to look good in color. I'll be doing a test print in color, but right here we've got all the credentials. And I did a little quote in here. When the stress burns my brain just like acid rain drops, Mary Jane is the only thing that makes the pain stop. That's a quote by, I believe Double K says it, from People Under the Stairs, which is a fantastic West Coast hip-hop duo. I'll go through this real quick. Why the fuck? Actually, you know what? I think I might have went through all this stuff in the sketchbook tour, but there it is in black and white, if you give a shit. That's a painting. That's an acrylic painting. That's an acrylic painting. I did this on mushrooms. It's actually up there. Right there. This was a pencil drawing. This was in my sketchbook. It's like the only time it's ever been seen again. Yeah. I think they kind of register in black and white. Like, I mean, I'd like to have them in color, but this would definitely be a cheaper way. I need to have a color copy. It's just in my nature, but it's not too bad. Especially all the splatter looks pretty cool in black and white, but there it is. So, wraparound cover for the, I believe that they're all wraparound, like 3, 4, and 5 are all wraparound color covers. So I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you leave a 666. If you want to get any of these issues of the zines, like, you know, Cinema 187, number 2, Filthy Ralph, any of the Filthy Ralphs, Radioactive Blobfields Coffee, and, you know, some mini zines are also available, and stickers and shit. There's a limited supply of the bundles, like the $20 US shipped, like $20 US shipped will get you all 9 zines, will get you some stickers, some other little fun things. But there's not many of the bundles left. So once the bundles are gone, the prices are going to be changing. The volume or issue 4, I think, is probably going to be the one that has like the initial price jump in it, just because of I think like the length is going to be way longer. I think I might go with perfect binding on the 4th one, which is you know, more. It's kind of, if you're a comic book fan, like, it's basically square bound. It's like doing a square bound zine, and I think it's going to look pretty badass. So that'll happen when it happens. Right now I'm focused on issue 5 of this, which is basically done. Issue 3 of Cinema 187. If you want to submit anything to that, make sure you please do before the 21st or on the 21st of this month, April, because after that I'm going to be having to really sort of lay the stuff out. Like, I have a decent layout. I could probably actually give you a little bit of a sneak peek right now, and don't judge me because I do edit my stuff on Microsoft Publisher, although I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it's basically gave me good you know, good success. All my stuff's been made on this, but here we go. That on the left is a Chad Keith painting, and on the right is a Richie the Caterpillar piece. Those are both, that's obviously Peter from Dawn of the Dead and Jess Franco, both by Trash Dash. It's taking a second here. We've got Carl Dahmer doing this Reaper. We've got Dan Parker doing the Scanners piece. That's all I'll show you right now, but there's quite a few pages, you know what I mean? So we'll leave it at that. I appreciate everybody for watching, and with that being said, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm gonna end the night with some of this disgusting stuff. Oh, that looks nasty. I'm gonna smoke that though.